Hi, I'm Jerry. I'm really glad you're here. For those of you who have been following me for a little bit, whether you've had a long-term health issue or you've had some kind of pain in your life, or you've had some areas that you've really struggled in, if you need hope, you're in the right place, because I really hope to share that with you and how I endured paralyzed from the neck down. And now it's reversing, thank God. But there's no promises, that it will be turned around completely. So I want to share with you some of the things that got me through and that continue to get me through. And so I really appreciate you being here, and thanks for listening. Okay, so the first thing that I don't know if it's just the first thing I want to share, but it's one of those things that I don't ever hear it talked about very often. Yesterday, I spent over 3 hours in a dental chair at the dentist's office trying to fix my teeth. And I mean, this is going to be a long journey for me, because when you spend that long of a time in the hospital, my teeth began to decay, because people don't really think about or care about or have time for doing oral care. So if my teeth needed to be cleaned, then I would get maybe one of those little sponges on a stick, right? And just kind of swab. It's called a swab. So do a quick swab in my mouth. But that didn't even happen every day. And brushing my teeth, there was a moment of time that I went, I don't know, it seemed like 2 months before I had a really good teeth brushing from the staff. But from my family, I know my daughter would really get on the staff about that, about who's brushing her teeth, and so she would do it sometimes and do what she could. And, my family and your caregivers may take part in that, and hopefully they do. But even though mine did periodically, it's still, if your teeth aren't being brushed every day, it's an issue. And so now teeth was always something that I paid attention to and cared about. And now I'm left with thousands of dollars worth of dental care to be done, right? And just the time and oh goodness, it's pain, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It just is. But we're going to do it, and a little at a time, and get it done. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And I am grateful for, any step forward. And so going to the dentist was a step forward. And thankfully, I have a really good dentist. And so he and his staff have been taking real good care of me. So that's good. And, that brings me to also mention caregivers. I can tell you that I'm not always really, I don't always am real quick to be gracious. I say thank you. Sometimes I lose patience. And so who's going to get the brunt of that but the caregiver? And so whoever it is that's taking care of the person in need, or if you're somebody who's struggling and you have family members and you're just grouchy, who are you going to take it out on, right? So I think just bringing in some self-awareness and really trying to be mindful about that, because I have my days that I'm not all that great, even though I'm getting the best care. My husband, I say it all the time, but he deserves Caregiver of the Year award because he takes such good care of me. And he's really good about it and gracious about it. And I so appreciate that in Rob. So, and then my kids, my adult kids, Mick, and then Amy and her husband, Josh. They're a blessing to me, It's one thing to look at me and say, oh, she's had to learn how to walk again. And I'm still doing that. I'm still in that process. But it was more than that. I had to relearn everything. The only thing I didn't really lose was my voice. So There may have been some people who wished I'd had, but I didn't lose my voice. And so I was able to talk and keep on talking when I wanted to, but I had to relearn how to use my hands and how to feed myself. And to this day, I don't, using the pen is really hard for me. And I'm trying to work on that, but I can barely sign my name. So for the longest time, Rob has been signing my name for me. He's allowed to do that. So it's really frustrating when you can't do the little things yourself. And so being mindful and being aware of how my behavior is toward him is really important. I know that there's, the thing about caring and being able to care for others, but when it goes on and it's all day long and it's for months at a time and months turn now into years, then it's hard. So I just encourage you that for those people around you who are really dear and who are really helpful and loving, who love you unconditionally, say thank you and smile. Maybe it's not for you, maybe it's for them, but honestly, when you're smiling at somebody else, you're also going to feel that. There's going to be a benefit mentally. So I just encourage you to do that. When it comes time to taking care of yourself and growing and going to physical therapy and doing all those things, it's not easy, it's hard. But having a positive attitude means everything. And if you're not surrounded by people who are going to encourage that or nurture that in you, then it becomes hard. But you can do it anyway. You can do it. You can have that spirit of determination, that spirit of kindness. And I think it's still, even though you're the person that's so much in need, has so much need, and you're, really counting on others to care for you, you can still be the one who is giving back and who is caring and saying kind words and being mindful of that. I think it's important. So hang in there, stay positive. For those caregivers, reach out and find help. I mean, it takes months and months sometimes. And at first we thought, we don't have months. We need help today, on day one. And it's an uphill climb. But I really encourage you to hang in there and reach out for help where you can. Whether you reach out to a social worker at a hospital or counselors or wherever you can find help. Your friends, they may know of people. So I encourage that. One of the things I'm often asked about, or the comments that come forward, are things like, how did you keep your faith during all of this? Or, wow, it's really amazing that you kept your faith. And I just want to share with you that, and basically, it's a choice. Either I'm going to believe or I'm not going to believe. And so I want to be able to talk about that more, talk about how I trust in a God that I know answers prayers. And it's not always the way I want, but it's something that I'm going to talk about more in the coming episodes. And some things that are really important. How do you keep your faith when you struggle day to day with things? How do you go forward? How do you hang in there? It's easy for people to say, hey, just hang in there. Or for people to be encouraging and to mean well and to say, I know you'll get through this. And that meant something to me. That was important to me. I appreciated hearing that. I know that there are some people, though, that's frustrating. They don't want to hear those things. It's like, really? How? And it really has to do with attitude. It's not like I didn't have moments where, I could have said, really? You think? I mean, You think? I mean, what else? What's the alternative? I don't have a choice. I'm laying here completely paralyzed from the neck down. Hang in there. Where am I going to go? And so I could have copped an attitude. And there are moments, I'm sure I did, but for the most part, I appreciated anyone who came forward. I appreciated, my goodness, the number of cards. There were so many. There were so many. People are so kind. I'm amazed at how many kind humans surround me. I'm amazed at the community that I live in with people that I didn't even know really knew very much about me or even cared to reach out. So when they did, it meant the world. It meant the world. You'll never know. And I just hope that for me to be able to be a kind human to somebody else and to be able to keep a good attitude, and brings tears to my eyes because I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. I appreciate every card, every kind word, every meal that was brought forward. Sometimes, we're still receiving just kind acts from people. Yeah. And it's everything. So I just feel like saying thank you isn't enough, and I just know that I've always had a heart for serving. So it's hard when you're on the receiving end. Does that make sense? Is anybody tracking what I'm saying here? It's really hard to be on the receiving end of such kindness when you'd rather be the person giving the kindness. So I am thankful. I'm grateful. And I want to be able to share more about what that means and very particular stories. And there are a lot of them. So I'll continue with that in the next episode. And I hope that you'll join me. And I really appreciate you being here and listening. And yeah, I hope you'll subscribe and like if any of this is helpful to you. And thank you for being here. In the meantime, make it a great day for you and someone else.